Have you ever wondered what it takes to change the world? Not with armies or weapons, but with the sheer force of will, patience, and an unwavering belief in humanity. Today, we're diving into the extraordinary life of a man who did just that. Nelson Mandela. His story is more than just a historical account. It's a powerful lesson in resilience, forgiveness, and what it truly means to be a leader. So grab a seat, and let's explore the journey of a man who went from a prisoner to a president and became a global icon of peace. Our story begins on July 18, 1918, in the small village of Enviso, South Africa. A boy was born, given the name Roli Halala, which in his Xhosa language, colloquially means troublemaker. Little did anyone know how fitting that name would become, not for causing trouble, but for challenging a deeply unjust system. He was later given the name Nelson by a teacher, and it's the name the world would come to know. Mandela grew up in a country defined by segregation. But it was until 1948 that this racial division was formalized into a brutal system of institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination, known as apartheid. Imagine living in a country where the color of your skin determines where you can live, what job you can have, who you can marry, and even which bench you can sit on. This was the reality for Black South Africans under apartheid. It was a system designed to strip them of their rights, their dignity, and their humanity. As a young man, Mandela moved to Johannesburg to study law. He was sharp, charismatic, and deeply aware of the injustices around him. He and his partner, Oliver Tambo, opened the first black-owned law firm in South Africa. Day in and day out, they defended people who were victims of the apartheid laws. They saw firsthand the devastating impact of this system on families and communities. But fighting in the courtroom wasn't enough. The system itself had to be dismantled. Mandela joined the African National Congress, or ANC, a political party fighting for the rights of Black South Africans. Initially, the ANC believed in nonviolent protest. Inspired by leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, they organized boycotts, strikes, and acts of civil disobedience. They believed that by peacefully resisting, they could expose the immorality of apartheid and pressure the government to change. Mandela was at the forefront of this movement. He was a powerful speaker and a natural leader, inspiring thousands to join the cause. He traveled the country, organizing and mobilizing people, his belief in a free and equal South Africa unshakable. But the government responded with brute force. Peaceful protesters were met with violence, arrests, and massacres. The infamous Sharpeville massacre in 1960, where police opened fire on a crowd of unarmed demonstrators, was a turning point. It became clear to Mandela and other ANC leaders that peaceful protest alone was not going to work against a regime that was willing to kill its own citizens to maintain power. Reluctantly, they concluded that they needed to fight back. The ANC formed a military wing, Umkhonto we Sizwe, or Spear of the Nation, with Mandela as its leader. Their goal wasn't to start a civil war, but to target strategic government infrastructure symbols of the apartheid state to force the government to the negotiating table. This decision put a target on Mandela's back. He was forced to live in hiding, constantly on the move, becoming a master of disguise. He was known as the Black Pimpernel, a phantom figure fighting for freedom. But his time on the run was short. In 1962, he was captured and sentenced to 5 years in prison. While serving that sentence, he was charged with sabotage and conspiracy to overthrow the government in what became known as the Refuge trial. At this trial, facing the possibility of the death penalty, Mandela delivered one of the most powerful speeches of the 20th century. He concluded by saying, and I quote, "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." He was spared the death penalty, but was sentenced to life in prison. He was sent to Robanila, a harsh, isolated prison off the coast of Cape Town. This is where the story could have ended. A brilliant leader, silenced and locked away, forgotten by the world. But this is where the true test of Nelson Mandela's character began. For the next 27 years, he would endure unimaginable hardship. The prisoners were forced to do hard labor in a lime quarry, the bright glare damaging their eyesight. The conditions were brutal, the food was scarce, and communication with the outside world was severely restricted. Yet, within those prison walls, Mandela's leadership only grew stronger. He turned Robben Island into a university. The prisoners, who came from all walks of life, educated each other. Mandela learned Afrikaans, the language of his oppressors, so he could understand them better and one day negotiate with them. He never allowed himself or his fellow inmates to be broken. He insisted on maintaining their dignity, organizing protests for better conditions, and never losing sight of the ultimate goal: a free South Africa. He understood the power of patience. He knew that their struggle was a marathon, not a sprint. While he was physically imprisoned, his spirit remained free, and his influence grew. Outside the prison walls, the Free Nelson Mandela campaign became a global movement. He became the world's most famous political prisoner, a symbol of the fight against injustice everywhere. Concerts were held, sanctions were imposed on South Africa, and international pressure mounted on the apartheid government. After 27 long years, the government finally buckled. On February 11, 1990, the world watched as a 71-year-old Nelson Mandela walked out of prison, a free man. Hand in hand with his wife Winnie, he raised a fist in the air, a symbol of defiance and victory. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated hope. But this is perhaps the most incredible part of his story. After nearly 3 decades of imprisonment at the hands of his enemies, what did Mandela do? He chose forgiveness. He chose reconciliation. He could have emerged from prison filled with bitterness and a desire for revenge. His country was a powder keg, on the brink of a civil war between the black majority and the white minority. Many expected a bloodbath, but Mandela knew that revenge would only lead to more suffering and destruction. He understood that the only way forward was to build a new nation, together. He entered into negotiations with President F.W. de Klerk, the very man who represented the system that had imprisoned him. It was a masterclass in leadership. He calmed the fears of the white minority, while managing the expectations of the black majority, who had waited so long for freedom. He used his immense moral authority to preach a message of peace and unity. He famously used the 1995 Rugby World Cup, a sport beloved by white South Africans, as a tool for national reconciliation. When he walked onto the field wearing the Springbok jersey, the symbol of apartheid, to present the trophy to the South African captain, it was a gesture that unified a deeply divided nation in a way that politics never could. It showed that everyone, black and white, had a place in the new Rainbow Nation. In 1994, South Africa held its first ever democratic elections, where all citizens, regardless of race, could vote. It was a day of immense celebration. Long lines of people, many of whom had never voted before, stood for hours to cast their ballot. Nelson Mandela was overwhelmingly elected as the first black president of South Africa. His presidency was focused on dismantling the legacy of apartheid, tackling institutionalized racism, poverty, and inequality, and fostering racial reconciliation. He established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, a court-like body where victims of gross human rights abuses could give statements and perpetrators of violence could also give testimony and request amnesty. It was a painful but necessary process for the country to confront its past and move forward. After serving 1 term as president, Mandela stepped down, demonstrating his commitment to democracy and ensuring a peaceful transition of power. He didn't cling to power. He had accomplished his mission. In his later years, he became a global statesman, a Nobel Peace Prize laureate, and a tireless advocate for peace, human rights, and social justice. His life story teaches us so much. It teaches us about the incredible power of patience, the ability to endure decades of hardship without losing hope. It teaches us about the transformative power of forgiveness, strength to let go of bitterness and build a future based on unity, not division. And it teaches us about true leadership, the courage to make difficult choices, the wisdom to see the humanity in your enemies, and the vision to inspire a nation to heal. Nelson Mandela passed away in 2013, but his legacy is immortal. He showed the world that one person, armed with conviction and an unbreakable spirit, can indeed change the world. His life is a testament to the idea that no matter how dark the night, the dawn will eventually come. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of incredible people who shaped our world.